like to jump in if I collapse into a coughing fit.
Live.
We're good. All right, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming to our December RTD webinar. Now, we wanted to do something a little bit different for the end of the year. So I think we titled this the Ask Us Anything, Ask Me Anything webinar. Really in hopes of trying to generate some discussion and sort of give you the chance to ask us any questions about the things that we've been doing this year or the things that we're looking to do next year. But we also, wanted to hear from you, try and understand if there's any particular pain points you're dealing with that we might be able to assist with as well. So really the aim of this session is to make it a bit more interactive to a typical webinar, which are very much one-sided. Now, you should have that capability of turning on your cameras and microphones as opposed to the sort of traditional town hall method. So I'd encourage you to certainly turn your cameras on, and if you have questions as we're going through, feel free to just raise your hand or to ask them in that we have the chat and the Q&A functions here as well for that. Let us know if there's any challenges with that. I think we've got some rights to promote people to different roles if there are challenges with turning your mics or cameras on. All right, so I might just share the slides, and we'll a couple of things we thought we'd quickly go over, and then we'll throw it open to questions from the audience and open up the discussion. All right. So for those who don't know me, I'm Josh Devitt. I'm the Chief Engineer of IPWEA New South Wales and ACT. I'm joined today by Will, who's our Roads and Transport Engineer, and Muskan, who's our Graduate Engineer. Morgan was hoping to be here today, but he is on the road doing some consultation as part of the Asset Management Maturity Project. So he just wasn't able to join us for this session, but certainly Morgan is the other member of the team who's doing a lot of good work in that asset management space. And then also acknowledging that we have Nathan Skelly with us on a contractual basis to help with the Asset AI project as well. So the four plus one of us are the RTD team, and that's certainly grown a little bit over the last couple of years, but it's given us extra capacity to take on a few more projects as well, which has been really good. We'll go to the next slide, please. So look, pretty brief agenda today. As we said, the main focus here is to try and generate some discussion, and so we'll make that the main focus of today's session. We will touch a little bit on some of the things that we're looking at for next year as well, to just keep you in the loop on that as well. I'll go to the next slide, please. So very briefly for those, obviously if you're getting this in what you've probably heard of the Roads Transport Directorate, but certainly the Directorate is a partnership between IPWEA New South Wales and ACT and LGNSW. Largely sort of most of the operational side of that of the RTD sits within IPWEA. LGNSW certainly do assist us with some of the events we run and promoting some of the activities we do to their members, mainly that elected councillor and mayor space. But look, in terms of quantifying what we do, I've always sort of maintained that really it's about us supporting our members as best we can, taking on those projects that you may not have the time to do because you've got busy doing your day job. Well, myself and the team have the time to dedicate resources to that and to actually progress some of these things, and obviously we then share that out to the membership on behalf of the industry to try and improve best practice across the board. Largely the focus traditionally has been only in the roads and transport space, but as you can sort of sense with some of the work that's happening through the AM Maturity Project, we're starting to sort of grow beyond that a little bit. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It allows us to sit more broadly across, I guess, a lot of the areas that IPWEA covers from a technical support perspective, and really that's only to the benefit of our members as far as I'm concerned. On the screen there you can see a few of the major sort of activities and events that we do. Publications I'll get to in a minute. Obviously the Local Roads Congress is sort of the flagship event for the RTD each year in first Monday in June, and the communique is the main advocacy document that comes out of that, which really sets up our policy advocacy for the next 12 months. And this webinar series has been running for about 18 months now. It's been quite well received from the membership, and certainly something that we're intending to continue for the foreseeable future. Having said that, we are always interested in webinar topics. If you have anything you want to send through, please do reach out to us, and we're always happy to hear them. And then you can see sort of on the top right there, that's the project plan for the ongoing asset management maturity project that's happening at the moment. So a bit of an overview of where that's going and where it's up to as well. We'll go to the next slide, please. So I mentioned our technical publications. This is sort of the main output from the RTD's perspective. We've been pretty busy this year, so we've actually published 9 publications across 2025, which is really good. As you can see, the link there to those for you can access those resources. You do need to be an RTD member to access those resources. So if you're having trouble and you're not sure if you're an RTD member, we'll just reach out to us and we're happy to clarify that. Last count, I think we had 111 of the 128 councils as paid members, although noting that there are a few outstanding from this year that we're chasing up as well. So we're certainly hovering around that sort of 120 mark in terms of engagement with New South Wales Council, which is really good. And look, some of these reports are one-offs that we sort of publish as needed, and some are long-term ongoing projects, such as the Road Asset Benchmarking Survey, which we've been doing for over 20 years now. Look, I won't go into too much detail on these now, unless people have specific questions about them, but really just to call it to sort of let you know that these are the outputs for 2025, and where you can access those. All right, well, that was the brief intro. So I think we're going to go one more slide here. Yeah, okay. So look, as I said at the top, really the aim of this session is to enable everyone to ask us questions and help us, I guess, one, learn how better we can support you, but also feed that forward into our plans for 2026. We obviously have already done a bit of planning for next year, and we have a few things that will be commencing, but we'll also be going through a strategic review early in the new year, just to pick up on other items that we might want to look at. So really, I think for us, if we can get a sense from you as to what those areas, where would you like us to put in a bit more effort? Maybe there's some things that we're not across that we should be across. I'd be really interested to capture those if possible as well. And I guess just beyond that, any general feedback or information that you're happy to share as well. All right. Well, look, I might open it up, and look, we've got a few Dorothy Dixes here if everyone's being shy, but I'll give first call to anyone from our audience who wants to ask us a question, and it can be of me or it can be of the team. I'll sort of referee a little bit so that it doesn't get picked on too much, but we'll if you have questions, I might get you just to raise your hand or pop them in the chat, and we can jump in. For example, okay, that's fine, right? Oh, everyone's being shy. All right. We might have to go to one of our Dorothy Dixes. Well, look, I guess just broadly, maybe what we'll do is I'll get the other members of the team who are here, and I think I know Nathan's going to slip in as well, so I'm going to put him on the spot if need be. But just wanted to talk about some of our major projects. So, Will, did you want to give a brief update on the Road Safety Strategy project that you're working on?
Yeah, of course. So we've had a fairly long-standing document, Council's Guide to Developing Road Safety Strategic Plans. There's been a bit of movement, I'd say, in the road safety industry. So we're looking to update that guide to align with where road safety is at now, and make sure for councils that do want to develop this resource, it's obviously not required, but the councils that want to take that leading approach to managing road safety in your council, that this document can really point you in the right direction. There's some big hurdles we're trying to get over, and figuring out the best place for a road safety strategy and how can best approach road safety. But it's a project I'm very passionate about, and something we hope to publish before state conference next year.
Thanks, Will. And look, as Will alluded to, certainly the road safety is a big focus area for us. David Orrin and me this morning with Transport, looking at the Road Safety Action Plan for 2031. So my understanding out of that is they're going to be doing some consultation sessions early in the new year. We're hoping, where possible, to align those to our chapter meetings so that we can have a bit of crossover and members can have their say as a part of that process. But certainly, yeah, it's an area of focus, and there's some, I guess, curly issues that we're trying to deal with there around things like, you know, even specific items like e-scooters and other things. But I mean, the main issue is that the trend of fatalities, serious injuries, is going in the wrong direction. So really, there's more that we need to be doing in that space, and I think local government as a whole needs to be doing in that space. So certainly our advocacy position on that is for councils to take a more active role, but equally doing it with support in mind, which is both through ourselves but also through transport and other avenues. All right, thanks for that, Will. Look, in lieu of Morgan, I might give a brief update on the asset management maturity project. So for those who are at State Conference in 2024, I think it was, we did a bit of a session at the end of that conference where we looked at support for an asset management directorate in some form. So there have been some discussions amongst the asset management panel that there could be a need for that. What we committed to, or what the board committed to, was looking at a 2-year engagement, which is why we brought Morgan on board to effectively engage, go out to the councils and sort of understand what are the issues that councils are facing from an asset management perspective, anything more that we could be doing to support that. So the output of that will be a number of things. Firstly, will be a business case for what's the best model moving forward for continued support of asset management maturity. That's obviously going to make the case for whether there is a demand there, and we certainly think there is. And based on the consultation that's happened to date, I think that supports that there is a need. And also looking at some sort of resources and templates and give a bit of a pipeline for what that support would look like, what sort of projects would flow out of it, and how that would be moving forwards. So as I mentioned, Morgan's on the road at the moment. He's been doing lots and lots of consultation. Hopefully he has reached out to your council. If he hasn't, please do let us know, and we're happy to connect in, because we really want to try and capture as broad a cross section as possible as a part of that consultation process. And yeah, really, it's about how do we support councils across all the asset classes to improve their maturity and understanding of what's the best practice and how to actually implement that on the ground. So that's really where that project's up to. The consultation's ongoing. There will be a draft business case put to the board early in the new year, and our aim again at State Conference is to have something to share more broadly with the community as to where we think this is going, and give you a pretty good update on that. All right. I'll keep going around the room. Muskan, did you want to maybe talk about some of the work that you've been doing with the recycled materials project?
Yep, sounds good. So I've been working on a new recycled materials guide. So this will be an update to the previous specification for the supply of recycled materials, but it will more so focus on sort of building up the confidence with using recycled materials, providing clear direction on what sort of resources are available to councils, and just sort of consolidating the Pandora's box of all of the guides and materials and specifications that are already out there between like Transport for New South Wales and Austards as well. And so it's about that proactive thinking of using recycled materials and building it into the processes and having like more guidance on the performance of them as well.
Thanks, Muskan. So, and again, the aim for that one is to have it ready on around State Conference. There's a pretty active work project, and really it's probably brought to my mind that there's a lot more we could be doing in that space, and I think there's a lot of good ideas that are coming out of that that working group that will probably funnel into future projects as well. So it's a bit of a commencement of hopefully what'll be a longer term stream of research. And Nathan, are you here? I don't know if you're able to chat. I was going to put you on the spot for an update on Asset AI. If not, then I can call on Will as well.
I can do that. That's all right. If you can hear me fine. So with SAI, we're rolling down on our current development partner, and we're going through a procurement process to bring on another development partner starting in February. We've got a huge scope of works that we'll be looking at with the new development partner to try and build on the platform. At the moment, the feedback we're receiving from councils that are on the platform, but also councils that are not yet on the platform, is they want it to move a bit more towards asset management. So looking at condition assessment and trying to better enable forecasting of capital works. So that's certainly one piece of the puzzle that we're looking at. We've been doing some work on generative AI, so I think ChatGPT, providing context to images, and part of that work has been looking at whether we can use the data captured to do a visual condition assessment of the road network with the images that we already have, and whether we can align that with the practice note. I think it's practice note 9 for IPWA's condition inspection, road conditioning assessment. So that's what we've been working on, and certainly we're still looking for councils to come on board. I've been doing some work on a benefits report to try and ascertain what the quantitative savings are that councils are seeing on this platform, and we're seeing inspection costs reduced by up to 75% or even greater if you're able to run the cameras on a garbage truck or street sweeper that's already running your network. So we can demonstrate quite substantial inspection savings, but we do also recognise that many councils are not currently inspecting their roads. So it's one of those things where it can be cheaper, but it's more expensive than the non-inspections that are happening at the moment.
Thanks, Nathan. And look, as Nathan sort of said, that SAI really started from pretty humble beginnings and has grown and grown into something bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think oftentimes the challenge is how do you sort of rein in the scope and keep it on the straight and narrow. But really, I think what's driving this at the end of the day is how do we make life, again, easier for you as our members. And so that's why it's very important to hear from you as to, the direction we're trying to take this thing in and whether you see value in it. And certainly the councils who are on board and who are engaged in our consultation have been giving us a lot of advice to assist with that, which has been really good. All right, well, I might open up more broadly if anyone has any particular questions. I mean, we've given a bit of an overview of some of the main projects, and certainly there's others I can go into, but conscious that the intent of this was to be a bit of a discussion. So if you do have a question, jump in. Oh, George, yep, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Joshua. I was just doing a stretch on working with the council south of Tamworth, and one of the challenges we faced there was the TMC or the police closing the road for long durations, and especially after flood events, which limits the alternative routes and also the fragile nature of the regional networks that local government own. I think it's a long overdue for IPWA and TMC and Transport to sit down with the police and get them off their high horse and say, look, they have to have limitations on how long they can close the state highway for an incident and get it done a lot quicker. I mean, it's in the US, it's done a lot more efficiently and fast within 2 hours. And, this rubbish of holding down roads for 8 hours on the New England Highway is just prehistoric concept. So I think it'd be good if the IPWA can join up with TMC, Transport, and also develop a parking base for the heavy vehicles, because they just cause a headache as well. They know and they communicate well when there's an incident, and there are choke points on the New England Highway, Newell Highway, etc., where you could have substantial parking bays for heavy vehicles to pull over until the incident's complete. So my view is that that's a growing issue, because local community gets stuck in these traffic jams for hours, and there's no water, nothing, nothing provided by TMC or Transport, and the police don't care. The police are just focused solely on their issue and don't give a stuff about the community. So I know it's a pretty broad statement, but it is.
Yeah, no, appreciate that, George. I think it's something that we can certainly take up with TMC and the police as an advocacy item, and obviously David's got some pretty strong connections to the police given his previous portfolio. So I certainly don't see that as an issue for us to raise with them. I'm conscious that they've probably got requirements they need to operate under as well, but certainly we can raise the concerns with them. Happy to do that.
So can I raise one more issue?
Sure.
So I couldn't attend the natural disasters workshop or whatever it was
Rosie, they've got
called.
any mayonnaise?
Sorry?
No, you're right, George. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So one of the questions I wanted to raise was during the recent flood events on the northern area of New South Wales, northwestern area, one of the challenges is the shortage of culvert lengths, concrete culvert lengths, and there really needs to be some effort of either saying we extend the concrete culvert or alternatively look at other solutions that can improve betterment to the culvert structure when we get these extraordinary events in terms of flooding. And I just think that'll be a good little project for RTD, but not the university, please. We really need practitioners involved in that discussion, not a students level.
Yep. So you're talking from a resilience perspective, George, and looking at.
Correct, yeah. And look, the damage we face at the council was more to do with that transition between the concrete and the unsealed pavement. And it's a time, especially if you've got 40, 50 culverts that are damaged.
Yeah, look, certainly. I mean, that seems like a specific example, but it's certainly, we're pushing for, betterment as a general trend to try and embed into these things. And for those who weren't able to make it, the Disaster Management Forum was quite well attended, and there was some discussion around the need for betterment. But having said that, it has been something that's been, I guess, bandied around for a couple of years now, and the funding structures don't seem to support it particularly well. So it's a bit of a perennial issue from us from an advocacy perspective. But I like that as a specific example. So keep in mind we're recording the session today, and we'll be able to tease out all these specific items to follow up on. And just
thanks
more broadly.
much.
No, thanks, George. Just more broadly in the disaster management space. So we had our disaster management forum late November, last month. As I said, well attended, and certainly something that we're intending to do again. We're not quite sure if we'll do it on an annual or a biennial basis, but it's the future projection is that these natural disasters are going to keep coming in one shape or form. So there's going to be a continued need to keep action in this space, and obviously there's a pretty big transition with RA picking up the full DRFA management in New South Wales, and so we're also waiting to see how that transition is going to go. But equally, we're going to be here to support and certainly funnel things up to RA as needed as well. One of the outcomes of that forum was, for a long time, we've sort of had the intent to convene an emergency management panel, and we are now looking to do that. It'll probably be rebranded into more of a disaster management panel as opposed to specifically on emergency management. But that's in the works, and so we've got a short list of people who have to be on that panel, and it'll be convening hopefully early in the new year for the first time and moving forward. So that sort of indicates that there'll be, I guess, that strategic level oversight of disaster management issues moving forward, and then that will equally flow through into projects that the RTD will be picking up as well. So just a bit of an update on that one. Any other questions? Anyone else want to raise something for discussion? Just here to listen. To pull on my old university hat and start picking on people, will I? Oh no, hang on, Martin. Yes, Martin, over to you.
Yeah, hi Josh. This is the first one of these I've come to, so I'm pretty new to the RTD. But just going back to Nathan talking about the AI, he was saying that a number of councils are on the platform. Is there a way of finding out? Because I don't know whether Hornsby Council's involved at this stage, and if they're not, I can get in touch with some people within the organisation.
Yep. Look, I'll defer to Nathan and Will on this, but certainly we're always looking for councils who are interested in getting involved in that project. So Nathan, I don't know if you want to take this one.
Yep. Fair, Martin. Hornsby, as we understand, not involved on the platform at the moment, and on our list we haven't had any contact from them at this stage. So if you want to, I'll drop my email address in the chat, and this goes for anyone. If you want to email myself or Will, we're more than happy to arrange a demonstration for you, show you how the platform works and what we think it can offer you. And then we also help with how you would go and procure the data providers, because we're aware of some of the little tricks that you need to be aware of to make sure that you get what you want and can compare apples with apples. So happy to talk to you about it. Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
That'll be great. Thank you.
And just as a general note, so you can understand the scale of Asset AI, right now we have 12 councils using the platform where they're live, and we're onboarding 2 at the moment. So around 10% of councils in the state so far.
Okay.
And certainly the intent is to grow that number. I mean, Transport, who's the major partner on this, are keen to sort of grow on the basis of about 10 councils a year or thereabouts. So yeah, look, and we're conscious that it's obviously got to be the right fit for everyone. But we're very keen to see this rolled out, and there are certainly some integrations with the platform that sort of feed into some of the existing systems that councils use. So yeah, happy to chat about that. And as Will and Nathan have alluded to, you can either contact them directly, or if you go through our website, there's plenty of links there to how you can get involved in that project, or indeed any of our projects.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. No worries. Anyone else? Yeah, hand up, or I find I have to pick on Troy because he's the only other one with his camera on. But,
Thanks, Josh. I turned it on following your instructions early.
thanks.
We've got both, a bit of a random one really, but with Transport advising of their reclassification process changes yesterday. Any comment on that?
It's a really good question, and quite timely question as well. So and I guess just for the background for everyone, so road reclassification or recategorisation, however you want to call it, has been on the cards for a while. It was looked at the previous government. There was an independent panel that did a report that went into a black hole somewhere, and no one can seem to find a copy of it for me. And so the current iteration, sorry, that process was a sort of a call for submission type process to get roads reclassified from local responsibility to state. There was a priority round done, and I think it was about half a dozen roads got transferred. There was a large list behind that again disappeared with the change of government. So the current sort of model is intended to be an always open process that councils can apply to, subject to meeting certain criteria. There was a pretty I want to call it a light on framework pushed out towards the start of last year, and we did have someone at Congress recently sort of provide a bit of an update on that. The full details of that have just dropped, I think it was yesterday or Monday. So the short answer is, Troy, we haven't yet had the time to go into it in full detail. We're certainly having a look at it. My concern or my reservation is around the criteria for recategorisation and what that's going to mean. We haven't really yet had a chance to vet that against some real world examples to see just where the bar is in terms of what it would take to get a road transferred from local to state responsibility. So I think that's one thing that we're certainly going to have a look at is what sorts of roads would be eligible. How does that sort of validate against some of the existing roads on the network? And I sort of have a concern in the back of my mind, because I don't know that it's been ruled out that roads can actually be transferred the other way. So I am a bit concerned that the state might be looking to dump a bunch of roads onto councils, which we don't necessarily want to see either. So they're the things that we're having a look at. I guess the other sort of thing that could complicate it is there is an ongoing review of the New South Wales Roads Act at the moment. And the current status of that is that one of the major recommendations is to do away with the regional road classification, just split it into state and local roads only. So we don't yet have a view under that arrangement where the regional roads would fit. Would they be transferred to state control? Would they be transferred to local control? Or would they be somewhere in the middle? So I think we need to get clarity on that point yet. And I'm not sure whether the current recategorisation process has factored that in mind. So there's a fair few moving pieces in this one, but short answer is we're going to have a bit of a look at it and try and come up with a position on it and go back to Transport with some questions. Did you have any particular concerns, Troy? Have you had a chance to look at it in any great detail?
No, Josh, haven't. I'm 8 days in back
Yeah, I
in
was going to
local
say,
government
pretty new,
from
mate.
from 8 days local government from 6 years of the state. So I'm just getting my head around that. And I just noticed some correspondence come across that yesterday, and seeing you put the spotlight on me, I had to think of a question real quick. So, but thanks. That makes sense. Cheers.
No, all good. And welcome back to the light, mate, as well. So,
thanks, mate. Good to be back on the light side.
A question here from Megan in the chat. What's the number of regional councils in Asset AI, and how are they utilising it in rural areas with no rubbish collection? Good question, Megan. So I don't know the exact split, but I think it's roughly 75.
About 2/3.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say 75. I said 2/3. Thanks, Will. 2/3 regional, 1/3 metro. Where possible, we do try to, I guess, get councils on board that represent a bit of diversity in terms of geographical location and size and things like that. So we've got a pretty reasonable spread at the moment. Yeah, as Nathan sort of responded to in it, there's differing requirements as to how people capture the data. So those who have that high frequency coverage with the garbage trucks can put them on those vehicles, and there are others who are using it on their supervisors' vehicles, or they might send out dedicated resources. So there's a few different ways to look at it. Guys, and I don't know if it's premature, but did you want to talk about who was that waste collection provider we were chatting to the other day, or you were chatting to the other day?
Do you want to go, Nathan?
Sure, I'll go. Will. I was speaking with Vision HQ, so they provide artificial intelligence cameras for garbage collection trucks focused on making monitoring the garbage that goes into their trucks, but they also access the cameras that are mounted on the trucks forward facing as well. And they've started to develop a road defect classification algorithm for their hardware as well. So we've been talking with them. They work with the likes of Veolia, Clearaway, and I think they've got their hardware in 6 councils at the moment on their trucks. So that would be another passive collection methodology. And from our discussion with them, they've got, I'd say, something of a competitive advantage in that they do their processing on the hardware on the truck, so they don't have to pay for cloud data processing as much as some of the other providers may have to do. So it's another one where we'll be working with them over the next 6 months to see if we can onboard them onto the system. And it's another one where you might get a level of data for potentially a low cost as well. They haven't thought about the commercialization of it for themselves as yet, but it's something that might come through for councils that utilise their system either on their internal garbage trucks or through a contractor, that it's a value add from that you might just be able to collect data for a very low cost.
Thanks, Nath. Yeah, and so I think that one of the points to take away there is that this sort of use of AI cameras is a rapidly evolving space, and there's 3 providers that we're currently working with, but there's plenty of others that we're talking to, and certainly the intent with Asset AI is to make it a agnostic platform, in the sense that it can sort of ingest data from various sources. But I think, for you as council officers, it's also good to understand that there's plenty of commercial providers out there, and likely will be more in the future as well. On a related note, a point that I thought I might raise is that we also work with a company called Compass IoT, who sort of aggregate data from the light vehicle fleet, and I believe they're also looking at some potential applications of camera tech on those vehicles. So, it's entirely possible that in a few years you might find that we can tap into that data stream, and then in theory, you've got tens of thousands of vehicles out there that you can be mobile cameras and capture defects on the network. So there's a lot of work to get to that point, mind you, and we're going to have to work out what sort of funding model would support that. But I think, again, it's all about working smarter and using the tech and the vehicles that are already out there. And so certainly could be put to that purpose potentially. Right. Anyone else? I'll ask the team. Team, do you have any questions or comments that you wanted to raise that we haven't touched on already? No.
I might jump in if I'm just putting myself in the shoes of an RTD member.
Sure.
What have we got coming up in the next year?
Yeah. Thanks, Will. No, very good question. It was sent in by Dorothy, I believe. Look, we've got a fair bit on. So obviously, Asset AI and AI maturity projects will be rolling forward. We're also doing some reviews with our 3 working groups, so the Bridge Working Group, the Transport Working Group, and the Road Safety Panel. They're looking at their strategic plan for the next 12 months, and we'll be feeding some projects through to us to consider from FY 26, 27 onwards. One of them that we've had on the books for a little while, which we will be commencing in the new year, is looking at councils who are involved in intermodal facilities. So this is something that we're probably going to use parks as a case study, given they've got the SAP and the intermodal and the nexus of the north-south and the east-west rail lines. So the learning for that one really is around last mile, first mile freight issues and how councils can sort of optimise the way they operate under those sorts of environments. And so I know obviously that wouldn't apply for every council in the state, but increasingly we're sort of seeing this need for more network level planning coming through from the state, and we're just concerned that there's a bit of a gap in the knowledge base as to how to do that effectively at a local level. So that'll be one of the projects that we'll be kicking off. The other one as well will be commencing the next round of asset benchmarking. So we'll be looking at the data collection for that sort of towards the back end of 2026 as well. So a bit of a I won't call it a warning, but it's a reminder that we'll be reaching out to you and seeking to get data from every council in the state. That's been a really well received project, and I know certainly off the back of Will in particular, the last couple of years we've had really good participation in that project, up around 90+%. So that's quite encouraging. On a similar sort of line of questioning, where also looking at how we can maybe try and streamline the data collection for that a little bit. And what I mean by that is there's also the National State of the Assets report that IPWA National puts out through ALGA or on behalf of ALGA. I know that they call for data as a part of that project as well. And then there's also the NLRDS returns that have to go to OLG every year for the Grants Commission. So there's a project happening in the background where we're looking at how can we line those 3 data sets and just say, let's do it once, reduce the double up in terms of having to submit data multiple times and just make it easier for council asset officers. So that's happening in the background, and we'll be presenting that next year as well. So there are a couple of the projects. We won't actually lyrically too much about this because there's plenty more, but suffice to say that this year's been a pretty big one, and next year will be as well. All right, well, I'll do one last call. I think I just saw something coming up in the chat. Oh, yeah, good point. Thanks, Troy. Yep, that's a really good idea. I was gonna chat to you offline anyway, mate. But
yeah, mate, just reach out and I can sort that when the time comes, mate. That's no worries at all.
Yeah, fantastic. Cheers. Thanks, Troy. All right. Well, look, if there's nothing else, I think we had 1 or 2 more quick slides. So, if you wanted to just pop those up on screen. We'll go to the next slide, please. There we go. All right. So in terms of, I guess, ongoing engagement with the RTD, we have our monthly newsletter, sorry, that we put out. The way to get on that is via the website. There's a sign up link that you can go to get onto that newsletter. We did sort of do a refresh earlier in the year because we found that we've got a lot of bounce backs with our old newsletter. We've tried to really streamline that, make it a quick read, so you don't have to spend all day. You can just have a quick glance at it while you're having your morning coffee. And since then, I've had some really good response rates. The open rate and the response rate's been really high, which obviously says to us that whatever we're providing, people are seeing is valuable. So look, if you're not on that, the mailing list for that, please do jump on the website and sign up. And equally, if you have colleagues you think could benefit from it, please do forward that on to them to have a look at. The website really is the place to go to for information about all of our activities. And it mentions there the technical panel, so I did just talk about them a little bit earlier. So we have our bridge working group, our transport working group, and our road safety panel. There is the opportunity for members to get involved with those groups if you sort of are an SME in any of those spaces. So again, if you would like to be involved, please do reach out to us via the
Josh,
website.
I might just jump in on that. So they are called working groups for the transport and bridge working groups. We are in the process of changing the names of those two panels. We just want to recognise the roles of the people in those groups are as expert advisors. So you're not expected to take on workload outside of the meetings. It really is so helpful to the RTD to have those resources that we can go to and ask questions for specific projects and help lead the projects that we do. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that don't be shy to join because you won't be lumped with a heap of work. Really, it's just a meeting every few months.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the purpose of those groups is to be the SMEs on particular areas, to set up the strategic overview, and then that funnels the projects through to myself and the team as the doers, if you like. So yeah, it's certainly, there is opportunity if you really want to help write the guides, you're more than welcome to, but there's certainly no expectation attached to that. As you can see there, the next webinar of these we'll be doing in February. We'll give everyone a month off in January. And then a very early save the date, our local roads congress is on the 1st of June next year. So please do put that in your diary, and it'll be good to see how many people there are. But look, if there's nothing further, we might wrap it up a little bit earlier and give everyone sort of 15 minutes of their day back. But thank you, Muskan. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you all for your attendance today. And also thank you for your support of the RTD over the past year. It's been quite a busy one for us, but as I said, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't on behalf of our members, and we couldn't do it without your support. So thank you once again, and have a good break, and we'll see you in the new year.
Cheers. Thanks, Josh, team. Thank you.